Welcome to the HMG Executive Leadership Spotlight. Here's our host, Hunter Muller.
Hello and welcome to the HMG Spotlight. I'm here with my good friend Tom Peck. Tom's the EVP and CDO and CIO of Sysco Foods Corporation. Tom, great to see you. Welcome to today's Spotlight.
Hey, Hunter, great to see you again. Always great to be here and hear what's going on in the world and share some of my own thoughts. Thanks again.
You know, Tom, you know a lot about leadership and success. Leadership matters more than ever in this highly innovative, disruptive world we live in. At Sysco, when you think about leading as the CEO of technology, being the business technology leader, driving innovation and change, what do you think about?
Yeah, I think the role of a CIO from years or decades past to kind of do what you're told and deliver the technology, it's changed. When you think about the term CEO or the title CEO, it implies this full accountability and ownership that goes beyond that traditional role. It involves presenting choices and options that impact your profit and loss, your revenue, your capital allocation. So the role is much larger in terms of expectations. And if you think about leadership, the ability to motivate and inspire and lead, and merging that with the CEO kind of definition, CEO definition, you got to work backwards from the customer perspective. It's the customer journey. How does the customer interact with the company, with your sales consultants, with your technology? Customers are more digital savvy than they've ever been. They're more reliant on technology. They have more choices and more flexibility. The stickiness of their experiences are less sticky. So, our job and my job as the CEO of technology or the Chief Information Digital Officer at Sysco is all about driving that customer loyalty. And we're seeing some really great results from our net promoter scores that's proving out that customer centricity is helping us win in the market.
Tom, you've done an amazing job over 3 years now at Sysco, and you have a great relationship with the CEO and the board. Talk to us a little bit about how you build contextually rich relationships with the CEO, the C-suite, and the board.
Yeah, super important, Hunter. Thanks for the question. I think part of it is you have to be credible, and part of getting that rapport and that trust that you need is that credibility. And how do you get credible? You spend time in the field. You spend time with your colleagues and in your employees. You spend time with your customers and your suppliers. You don't want to just be a good technologist or a good digital leader. You want to be empathetic and speak on behalf of all your constituents and your stakeholders. You also want to build that trust. You want to tell the good news and the bad news. You want to be transparent. You want to follow through and do what you say you're going to do. You need to be accountable. You need to own it. I'll frequently go in to see my boss, Kevin Hurricane, who's an amazing CEO at Sysco. And oftentimes he'll ask my opinion, or I have to bring my opinion. And if my opinion is based on trust and credibility and voice of the customer and voice of our colleagues, and I bring a point of view with pros and cons and qualitative and quantitative, it just builds that rapport and that chemistry, and you start to get reached out more often. Hey, Tom, what do you think? What's your perspective? And I think that's really been a successful way that not just me, but all of us on the Sysco leadership team have built that rapport. And when you think about the board, it's very similar about credibility, but it's also about how you communicate with the board. What does the board need to know? We still manage the company as a leadership team, but boards are much more focused on risks and strategies and financials, things like capital allocation. We need to be really good at what is technology's role in those contributions to growing the company. We need to show that technology is complementary to and not in conflict to what we're trying to accomplish via our enterprise strategy. We need to speak their language, offer context, help educate them, and help build allies around the board so that they can help us with what we're trying to accomplish. And Hunter, as you and your audience knows, there's new topics that they care about. Cybersecurity has always been an interesting topic that they will continue to care about, but now they're very interested in things like AI and generative AI. And we shouldn't assume that every board member is as knowledgeable or as sophisticated on the topics. So it's not just about educating them on the risk of improper bias on recommendations, but it's understanding about data loss protection and how we train our models to protect not just the outcome of those models, but the reputation and the credibility of our company. So again, credibility, trust, transparency, voice of the customer, and help educate and build allies for what you're trying to accomplish, Hunter.
And Tom, back to the board piece, and Kevin, you really have an amazing CEO. He's often on CNBC with Kramer doing the quarterly update, and John Hinshaw, I believe, is a board member of your
Yes.
organization. I've known John for decades. He's one of the top technology executives in the world. So this is really the A team or the major league.
Yeah, it is. Having a CEO who gets it, and board members like John and Sheila, who's our technology committee leader, that get it. That's great because it keeps me sharp. It keeps me on my A game. And it also helps influence and educate the rest of the board members as well. So, yeah, I think it's really, really great, Hunter. I sometimes joke with John and Sheila and Joe, the other committee member on the tech committee, that part of my job is to help convince them that we're doing great things as a company, but I'm also here to learn from them as well. They've got a lot that they can teach us, and kind of that two-way communication is a good rapport that we have with the board.
Great stuff, Tom. One of the areas that you really differentiate yourself is working with your partners, your vendors, and turning them into, unleashing them as innovation engines or accelerators. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I feel very, very strongly that we don't know it all. I certainly don't know it all. My team doesn't know it all. Why would we profess to be experts when there's a super amount of talent and expertise that's out there in this world? Our strategy around innovation, whether it's AI or otherwise, it's really a three-pronged strategy, kind of the three legs of the stool. One of them is partners. One of them is leveraging universities and PE firms and venture capitalists. And then third leg of the stool is things like crowdsourcing and ideation. It could be a hackathon. It could be voice of the customer again. So those three legs, but more specifically partners. Partners, vendors, third parties. We like to do a lot of co-innovation, which may yield profit sharing models. It may yield joint ventures. It may mean IP or intellectual property sharing. But Hunter, what it's all about is creating win-win opportunities or situations where in return for the partner or vendor getting real life use cases that they can help solve that ultimately help with their sales and go-to-market strategy. What we get is early adoption or first market mover or first market exclusivity in some cases, perhaps even lower costs in return for our feedback on their roadmaps. So we have a couple different examples. Things that are important to us are improved AI and generative AI on things like product assortment and inventory management. We're very much focused on next generation GPS and telematics on where our trucks are. We're working with a couple different companies now in different spaces in those different areas where we can be even better for our customers. So again, the punchline is, where can we do a win-win where we get benefit from the deal and the partner gets benefit from the deal as well.
Thanks again for that, Tom. Your role expanded dramatically just in the past year. Talk to us about the data space and the analytics.
Yes, so I had the traditional CIO role at Sysco and the traditional chief digital officer role, which I've always defined as the intersection of people, process, and technology to help drive the transformation for the company. But within the past year, I took on data for the entire company. I already had the data platforms, but what was different now is all the data science, all the AI, generative AI, machine learning is now part of this data center of excellence. We brought over all the business leaders who were doing data strategy, doing report creation, driving the KPIs on how we run their business. It's no longer just about master data. It's no longer just about business intelligence and data platforms. Now we've got all this new AI, generative AI. And when we bring the business data creators and the people who are helping run the company and thinking about bringing more predictive and prescriptive click to action type of insights into our reporting, I think you've started to see data really change dramatically within the business. It's no longer about telling us what happened yesterday. It's more about leveraging the data to tell us what might go wrong based on correlation, regression, and Monte Carlo simulation, what might go wrong a week from now, so that we can take more protective or prescriptive and early actions. And part of that, Hunter, is I also have responsibility for inbound supply chain for the company, which is highly dependent upon data analytics and technology for predicting our inventory and our product assortments, so that we minimize any stockouts or disruptions to our supply chain to our customers.
Great stuff, Tom. You know, winning matters more than ever, and a leadership style in this highly innovative environment matters more than ever. Talk to us about winning in your leadership style.
Hey, if you're not trying to win, I would argue that your competitive fire in the belly, your sense of urgency is not quite there. Now, winning means a couple different things to different people. You know, Hunter, we're not trying to win at your teammates' expense or your colleagues' expense. We're trying to win as a company. We're trying to win as a team. Part of winning is you're going to make mistakes. So you're going to lose periodically. I grew up playing sports. You don't win every game. You don't get a hit every at bat. Sometimes you got to get back in the batter's box and swing again. You got to learn from your mistakes so that you can constantly be better. And one of the things that I learned as an athlete is part of winning is there's an offensive strategy and there's a defensive strategy. And it's the same thing in corporate America. It's the same thing in business. Where do you want to go on offense? Where do you want to go on defense? And oh, by the way, if you look at disruption or disintermediation in corporate America these days, winning is sometimes taking an offensive posture so that you don't lose 5 years from now. You think about, things like Blockbuster versus Netflix and some of those, business school studies from years past. So winning is about, being in the game today, but it's also about seeing around the corners on what might happen tomorrow, learning from your mistakes. And oh, by the way, anytime you put somebody on an athletic field or you put a military unit out there in combat, you're about empowering your athletes, you're empowering your troops, well-trained, set up for success. You coach them the best you can, so when they're out there in these small teams, they're empowered to win on your behalf, and then you celebrate like heck when you win, Hunter.
Great insights. Thanks for sharing that, Tom. Tom, you've been an HMG Global Leadership Institute CIO and CDO of the Year. You've won the CIO of the Year at MIT. You've been in the Hall of Fame at CIO.com. What an amazing career. And thankfully, we met many years ago, and you've been engaged with the CIO Alliance, the HMG SELA, for almost 10 years. What do you get out of the SELA, and what do you get out of HMG Strategy?
Well, it's been great knowing you for such a long time, Hunter. You and your network are amazing. And those awards are very, very heavily dependent on great people in great teams, of course. So I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that. But also part of the power of the network of the HMG network and all of the affiliated groups that you have is the ability to talk to smart people, share ideas, share best practices, ask for help. I feel very strongly that you also need to like the people that you do business with and like your peer group. And you've surrounded yourself with amazing people. I always enjoy talking to them, spending time. It's a continuous circular loop of learning from each other. And when you network with each other, it makes you a better leader, which makes your teams better. And if your teams are better, it makes you better. And it's just a flywheel of success that yields business impact. So thank you for, well over a decade of being both a friend and a mentor and a help, and putting me in contact with such a strong network. Thank you. Right back to you.
Awesome. Thanks again, Tom.